first was thinking about a topic to do, I came across the idea of doing the 6 players that got their name retired from the Red Wings. And when I started researching more, I came across Terry Sawchuk. And before I started researching on him, I knew, one, he was a good player. He got his name retired. He played for the Wings, and he was a goalie, and that was about it. And the more I read about his life, the more fascinated I came with his life and his career and how who he was as a person. So I decided to do my speech on Terry Sawchuk because I don't think anybody knows anything about him, so I wanted to tell people about him. So the 5 things I would be doing my speech about is his childhood, his start, his first 5 years in the NHL, the injuries he ensued, and the rest of his life. Starting off, his childhood. He was born December 28, 1929 in Winnipeg, Canada. He had 3 brothers and 1 adopted sister. One of his brothers passed away of the scarlet fever, and one of his other brothers, the one he looked up to the most, died at the age of 17 of a heart attack. This brother was somebody who Terry looked up to a lot. He was the one that was supposed to be the great goaltender of the family. Terry was quoted saying, "I couldn't believe what happened. I missed him for a long time after that." At the age of 12, Terry dislocated his elbow, and he didn't want to tell his family. He didn't want to bring the hardship on the family. His dad lost a job. They were struggling, so he didn't tell anybody, and he hid it. And to that, it didn't heal properly, and he had a bad, he said that his left arm was 2 inches shorter than his other arm. He didn't have the mobility that he should have had in it, and this is something that troubled him all throughout his career. He started playing hockey at an early age, but didn't play goaltender until his team, the goalie, got hurt, and he decided to step in and play goalie, and he's been a goalie ever since. He said the pads were always there where I could look at him, just to remind him of his brother. Next of all, his start. He started at an early age. He was scouted at the age of 14. He signed an amateur contract and played for a junior team in 1946. A year later, in 1947, he signed a professional contract and played for the AHL, where he took Rookie of the Year that year. He joined the Wings in 1951. He played all 70 games that season and took 11 shutouts and won the Calder Trophy, which is the best rookie in the NHL for that year. Next of all, his first 5 years, he won 3 Vezina trophies for the fewest goals allowed and missed the other 2 by only 1 goal. He won 3 Stanley Cup, 2 back-to-back with the Wings. He was an all-star all 5 years. He finished those 5 seasons with 56 shutouts and a goals against average of under 2, which is pretty remarkable. In the 51-52 playoffs, the Wings swept the Blackhawks and the Canadiens. In 8 games, he allowed 5 goals with a goals against average of 6.61 with 4 shutouts. He was traded to Boston after that, and that's where things kind of started to go downhill. When he got traded, he was very confused by the trade. He started judging his talent and just didn't do well in Boston. In 1957, he announced that he was going to go into retirement, and the press and everybody labeled him as a quitter. But the Wings were struggling. The goalie wasn't doing so well, so they picked him back up, and he played for Detroit for the next 7 years and lived up to be that great goaltender that he was. After that, he played for Toronto for 2 seasons, and he won the Stanley Cup. After that, he played for the Wings 1 more year, and then went to New York, where he would record his last shutout. Next of all, his injuries. He had 60 bone chips in his elbows. He had a punctured lung from a car crash, ruptured spinal disc, torn tendons in his hands, more than 600 stitches total. He had an eye injury that almost left him blind. He had a swayed back from his style of play. He suffered from migraines. And insomnia. It said that he could only sleep about 2 hours at a time. And he also had a nervous breakdown. In this next picture, this was done by an artist, a makeup artist, for the New York Times. They were basically trying to redo with makeup all the scars, and you see the scars just everywhere. And they said that the makeup artist couldn't find all the space to put all the scars. Next of all, moved on to the rest of his life. He married Patricia Morley in August of 1953. He had 7 children, but the family struggled due to his drinking. He also was said to have a girlfriend that he got pregnant that lived in Toronto, and a lot of verbal and physical abuse to his wife. He lived in constant pain that made him very angry. He was a chain smoker and full of hate. The life of a goalie back in the 1950s was harsh. He didn't wear a mask. There's no such thing as a backup goalie, so you just played through whatever. He played what was called a reflex style of goalie, which means he didn't concentrate on angles a lot. He was said to be very quick and had really explosive movements. And he leaned down, which caused a lot of pain in his back. Basically, hockey was his release from all the mental pain that he felt and physical pain from his marriage and whatnot. There's a quote saying, "When we woke up in the morning, I would say good morning to Terry in both French and English. If he answered, I knew he would at least talk a little bit that day. But if he didn't reply, which was most days, he wouldn't speak the entire day." That was a quote by one of his roommates that he lived with from the Wings. He died in a result of a fight. One of his players in his when he played for the Rangers after the season was over the guy that he lived with. He got in a fight, something about money owing him, and he basically tripped over a barbecue grill and took some internal injuries and died in the hospital. In conclusion, Terry Sawchuk was believed by many to be one of the greatest goalies of all time. In 971 games, he won 447 of them. He tied 172 with 103 shutouts, which is a record that was just recently broke by Brodeur. He had a career average of 2.52 goals against average. He won the Calder Trophy, 4 Vezinas, and 4 Stanley Cups. He won the Lester Patrick Trophy for contributions to ice hockey in the U.S. And a quote by Joe Peltier, he was the author of an article that I read. He said, "Terry Sawchuk's hockey career began with a broken heart and an abandoned set of goalie pads. And just tragically, his career ended in much of the same way."